To the best of my knowledge, and as reported on NFL Network this weekend, he is yet to sit down with ownership. If he won't survive, I think this is a massive misstep by RKK and JKK. That'd be Robert and Jonathan Kraft. They could turn the final week against the Jets into a celebration of all Bill's accomplishments here and guarantee a full house for a meaningless game. Instead, by dragging it out, they risk turning and burning Belichick on Black Monday. That does not feel right to me. All right, here we go. It's our Arbella Early Edition. We're trending. Tom Giles in the host seat tonight. We got Phil Perry, and there is Mike Giardi, the author of those words you heard right there. And you kind of went into it a little further in the article, but why would it be a misstep, and why do you think they haven't sat down and had the conversation with Bill at this point?
I don't know why they haven't. To me, whether it's from Tom Curran's report that they made their decision long ago and they're just going to do it when the season's over and say, Bill, thanks but you're gone, or if they're waiting because they're thinking maybe, just maybe, Phil, that for some reason the next 3 or 4 weeks, or now we're down to the last 2 weeks, can actually impact whether or not he stays or goes, which to me is insanity. Like, you're 70-some-odd games into being a sub-500 football team with Bill Belichick at the helm. I think you should know by now, right? And I think in any other case, in any other market, any other coach that's 31-41 in his last 72 would be fired, and we wouldn't even be thinking twice about it. But because it's Bill, because of the past history, it's like this hesitation, this reluctance to just say, yeah, it's over, and we're going to move on.
Yeah, it is interesting. If they haven't met yet, it's interesting to me because the discussions that I would think would have to occur in order to figure out a situation in which they do find a solution or a method, a path to keeping Bill Belichick would be relatively complicated. Yep. It might take some time to hammer that out. Okay, Bill, we want you to stay, we want you to coach, but we want you to have some help on the personnel side. Here's how that's going to work. Here's who we're considering in that kind of role. What do you think? There's a back and forth there. On the other side, if it's Bill Belichick, who's laying out a plan for the Krafts as to why he should be kept, that might be complicated as well. That feels like the kind of discussion that would take more time than a couple of hours on Black Monday, right? If you're going to do it and do it right and still feel like you're giving yourselves an opportunity to attack your offseason on time. So it's surprising to me that they haven't met just yet.
But the problem there, too, is like, so we say on time, but if you're going to try to draw this out and get something for Belichick, and we've tossed around the ideas of trades, I'm not one who really believes that's going to happen now. But just think about that for a second. Okay, you do the trade. Well, that's going to take a little time to come up with some sort of compensation package unless they're already back channeling that stuff and they can agree to it quickly. Then they have to turn around, whoever that team is, they have to still go through the Rooney Rule process. Like, right. Yep. No matter whether you agree for a trade, they can't announce it because you still have to go interview people, just like the Patriots would have to do here, even if they say they want to turn to Gerard Mayo. They can't just do it. They have to interview people via the Rooney Rule, which, again, that takes time. They don't have a lot of time, like in terms of like, if you're going to move on, you got to get this thing going and going quickly.
All right, how do you think things are going to end between Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, the Patriots, all that? You can vote in our poll and let us know. You think it's going to be ugly? Do you think it's still TBD? An elegant solution? Is that still on the table? Right now, people think it's probably going to get ugly. You can go to NBCSportsBoston.com/early edition, scan the QR code you see right there on the screen, and you can vote in the poll. I think that the reason that they would not have met yet would be that I just don't think that meeting would go well. I don't see how that meeting could possibly go well unless the meeting would be to say, Bill, we need to make changes. You can come back, but we need to make changes. And that would be, I think, the only meeting that would make sense to me at this point, because I don't think they can say to him, yeah, we're just going to run it back because you've shown some fight here towards the end of the season.
Don't you think it'd be funny? Like, Bill Belichick, obviously, we've been asking him questions now for a month, all right, about his future, questions about do you want to be back? And, of course, he's punted on all of those and just said, I'm getting ready for insert team that they're playing next. But, like, when the dude leaves Gillette Stadium, whatever time it is, let's just say it's 11 o'clock at night, and he drives home, and he's listening to, Jethro Tull, and his mind goes blank, and he's not thinking about all the talk about his future and where he could be next year and what's going to happen. Like, if he wants to stay, there's no question that he has a plan in his mind that he's going to pitch, right? I mean, I would think that this is a guy who's always prepared. He would have something like that. He's not just like blissfully going along like, what? I could lose my job? Like, no, this guy's going to be prepared. And on the other side, like, they have to have some idea whether they're doing it or not and what it's going to look like.
I would think so. I mean, you've got enough information at your disposal to make a decision here because it's not just about this season. It's about the past several. And so the last month of the season, while sure, it can, I guess, factor in some way into your decision-making process, it shouldn't be the be-all, end-all. And To Mike's point, Bill Belichick has to understand what the chatter is. I mean, David Andrews is coming up to him after the game the other night in Denver saying, we tried to get that one for you. And, is that just because he likes the guy? No, it's because everyone understands the situation that the team is in and that Bill Belichick's in right now. So the public nature of the discussion around Bill Belichick, around the Krafts, also makes it relatively surprising to me that they haven't hashed this thing out. Because if you wanted to keep Bill Belichick, wouldn't you go to him by now and say,
yes,
I know what everyone's saying out there. It's not true. You're our guy, Bill. We want you here. Finish this thing out. Go get the record. Let's rebuild this thing. They haven't done that yet. I think that speaks volumes.
Well, that too. And because also if you're Bill Belichick and you get to the end of the season, they do want to bring it back, and they say, yeah, well, of course we're going to bring you back. You're still under contract. When he's standing there and say, well, what the hell have you been doing the last couple of months? You guys have kind of let me bend. I've been twisted in the wind, basically. I've been standing up here being asked questions about what's going on with the New York Jets and how Woody Johnson is backing his head coach and his GM. And so that's why it doesn't feel like, A, that they're going to be back next year, and B, that there's going to be an elegant solution.
Yeah, I think I heard Tom Curran say this on the radio today, like the fact that they haven't met kind of tells you what they're thinking, right? Because wouldn't you have, to your point, like if you're going to move on from quarterback X and Y and you're going to do this with the roster and you want to re-sign Onwenu, like Bill would have a say in that. If Bill's not a part of the conversations, you're getting closer and closer to the end of the year, it feels like, well, kind of have made our decision and you're not going to be part of the equation going forward. But again, like, I mean, we're basing this on Tom's report, right? That's where it all starts from. And then sort of connecting the dots since then and kind of leads you to believe that, yeah, they are going to make that move.
But it's also that the Krafts people have been wanting to talk to them, right? And the owners' meetings, and they're not meeting,
yeah.
And they're, it's rare that we hear from Robert unless it's with, Rich Eisen before the Germany game. It's just, there have been a lot of opportunities for them to indicate which way they're going to go, if it was going to be a positive outcome for Bill Belichick here in New England, and they haven't chosen those paths.
All right, let's talk more about the win that happened on Sunday